Now you can get your official Louisville City FC kits and other gear at the team store, located by Gate 1 and Gate 6. Now, to perform our national anthem, please welcome Katie Mack.
Week 2 of the USL Championship and a major staging post in the Eastern Conference. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Baptist Health. It's Louisville City at home to take on the Miami FC. Mike Watson, Devin Kerr, glad to have you aboard. Hopefully you're nice and warm. Don't need the hats nor the scarves here tonight. You take a look at how this season will break down, and these two teams did see each other in the playoffs last year, a Louisville win, but they didn't play in the regular season. The season format this year, however, is very different, as we'll see these two teams play home and away. The number one seed in each conference will get a bye into the Final Four within the conference playoff structure. Top 7 are going to the postseason after this 34-game regular season concludes. You know, Devin, you think about what Louisville did last week. For one, they pitched a shutout. They're over the moon about that. But we also saw Wilson Harris, their number one offseason target, get a goal and a win 1-0 over Atlanta.
Last game of preseason, Cameron Lancaster go down, and everybody holds their breath, right? But there was no need to, and I say that with the highest respect for Cam because of Wilson Harris. Really good down in the pocket, excellent at creating his own chances. But let's talk about the rest of the fresh faces for Louisville City. Amadou Dia, touches, passes in the final third, all in the top 5 for Louisville City, leading the way in a lot of those categories. Manny Perez on the right side. I love his variability here, Mike. His ability to get up and down into the channel, to cut inside. But your Commonwealth Credit Union profile is Josh Winder, 16 years of age, most accurate passer on the back line, most passes on the team, and 4th most in the final third. That means he's consistent. He's got the skill set to get it done. Most importantly, Mike, he's got the confidence to lead this team in the opponent's final third.
Meanwhile, Miami FC coming off a victory 2-0 over New York Red Bulls 2. And in speaking with Anthony Pulis, yes, Joshua Perez gets a goal, Segber's a goal and an assist, but you don't really know what you've got yet from that game alone.
They're also pretty banged up, right? And
Yeah.
you're going to see a lot of rotation from this team now compared to what it's going to be 4 months from now because of the long list of injuries. But the key additions were top quality week 1. Kyle Murphy right there. Mark Segber's moved from right back to left back. Didn't even miss a beat. Spoiler alert, Florian Velo, he's on the bench tonight. So if you need supplemental help coming down the stretch, he will be there. Aiden Stanley out a little bit longer. But you saw a nice blend of what we saw in 2021 combined with that beautiful touch of Anthony Pulis. This team's got playoff aspirations and beyond.
All right, Pulis and Cruz, Miami and Louisville from Lynn Family Stadium. When we return, we've got lineups and kickoff in Kentucky.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region. It's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Louisville is home. When I hear Louisville, I think warm, loving, friendly people, but very practical, hardworking people at the same time. People here are family, and you don't even have to be from here to find a connection with someone. Pride of Louisville never leaves you, even if you leave here. I feel like my children are well-rounded people because they've met a diverse group of people. Just in living and experiencing the city is tremendous.
Commonwealth Credit Union is growing and hiring. If you have a passion to help others, come check us out. Our mission is to better lives in the communities we serve through financial products and services, leading-edge technology, and a commitment to treat every person with respect. If you'd like to join our team, visit our website to learn more about our extraordinary culture, pay, benefits, and the many more reasons we are voted a best place to work in Kentucky. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Sure you're ready?
Like I never even left.
911, what's your emergency?
Help! We're gonna have to get her down the hard way.
Do not take your foot off the gas.
I'm getting a reading.
Help. Now that's a new one.
911 Spring Premiere this Monday, followed by Lone Star on Fox or watch anytime.
Louisville has arrived to the field. Tonight's broadcast is presented by Baptist Health. Louisville City to take on Miami FC. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr for Louisville City. They've got Kyle Morton between the sticks again. He comes up with his shutout last time out. And the new #1 in Louisville, just one save against Atlanta United 2. Mission accomplished. Louisville won it 1-0. A look at the starting lineup, Devin, for this Louisville City side. And it is presented by Hometown Craft House.
No changes in the squad that took down Atlanta United 2 1-0 in week 1. It was an interesting performance that saw some variability in some areas of play that Danny Cruz wants to make sure they tighten up, because that game could have easily been 6-0. Instead, you're still going to see a lot of attacking from the two outside backs and DM Perez. I want to see more out of Bone and Del Piccolo pushing through the middle, and the front three continuing the tempo on the press.
And Louisville fans know that, man. Paco Craig, first team All-League, twice in Louisville, now once in Miami, joined Speedy William in the starting 11. And Richard Ballard unavailable for this game, dealing with an injury. So for Miami FC, it's a lineup that only had to make one change. It's not a change you want to make.
All the changes, though, last year are what gave Paco Craig the ability to be one of the best in the league. He'll do the same tonight. This team is great in possession on the ball. You wonder transitional moments if they have enough speed to keep up with Lou City. Contrasting styles are going to come to blows right away.
Gerald Flores is the referee for this affair at Lynn Family Stadium tonight. They met in the playoffs in November. It was the first all-time meeting, now the first in the regular season, between Miami and Louisville City. Underway tonight at Lynn Family Stadium. Devin, it's a Miami team that will have some very similar stylistic qualities to what we saw out of St. Louis FC in their penultimate season in the year prior. Anthony Pulis, who took a time as an assistant coach at Inter Miami, makes the move down the road to Miami FC to take over this club. And in speaking with Danny Cruz, the Louisville head coach made it clear you already see the influence.
It was funny because you and I, even before that conversation, addressed what it was going to look like before the start of the year. And we felt, given his time at St. Louis, yes, it was going to be defensive-minded. Yes, there was going to be great structure about it. I would say that the one area we missed, Mike, was going back to his days at OCB, where they did drop in 2 in the pocket, playing 4-2-3-1 more in the midfield. And you saw that in week 1. Now, that was a style we regularly saw for Miami last season, but the difference is the way that they press, the way they hold the ball, the way that they attack. And you're going to see a lot of changes throughout the game. My key question, though, is going to be how quickly they can start on the road, right? This is a very difficult place to play, regardless of time of year. And don't let anybody tell you that this game has nothing to do with last fall. I've played in these matches. Even when rosters change, there's always something to do, that kindred spirit called pride. When you've been taken down one time out, you best believe next time you're coming for it.
Jorge Gonzalez just got his first touch. He scored the winner in that game. Ball spins outside to Ownby and back to Perez. Sharpie and Winder, Devin, your former center back. In speaking with the Louisville staff, it feels like that was the pairing that played best together in preseason. Big reason why Sean Tosh starts the season coming off the bench.
Also understand the fact, and a lot of people are quick to forget this, that Wes Sharpie was the preferred center back at the start of last year. Unfortunately for him, picks up the injury, not even able to make it to opening day.
Perez was out beyond Ownby, and so he collects. Good effort by Segbers. Finds De Silva. But taken back by Perez, and now Ownby crafts that into the Estopanol end.
Good news for Lou City on that back line is you plugged holes quickly, right? On the outside back spot, the departure of Pat McMahon and Jogo. The other side of that is, not only did they plug the holes, Mike, more importantly, they created a lot more depth than we saw in 2021. Now, some of that was because of the injuries they had throughout the season. More importantly, it's the ability for these players, whether in a 4 or in a 3 or age, they're all very comfortable with each other. Talked about some of the pressing factors we saw in week 1. A lot of that had to do with the reasoning that these guys were put together. Winder and Sharpie capable of changing systematic styles at a moment's notice. They didn't miss a beat. They were very good defensively, high line or not.
Paulo Del Piccolo into the challenge. Good chance for us to remind you the Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. Rolled over to Antonelli. Collected out of midfield by Bolu Akinyoti. And out wide for Parks. Romeo Parks. Dips, drives. That's beyond Joshua Perez. Really intriguing to find out what this attacking core is for Miami FC, because it looks a lot different from last year, starting with Murphy and Parks.
If you're a Miami FC fan, you're probably a little bit frustrated week 1, to be fair, given the amount of firepower that they have. In theory, the problem they're dealing with is the injuries aforementioned. But that was a good look just now of what you want. You want to see Pierre De Silva and Romeo Parks interchanging. Now, De Silva's going to be comfortable anywhere in the attacking third. You can play him in the false 9, in the 10, 7, 11. More comfortable on the left-hand side cutting in. But can you get Parks out of that centralized location? He's not an out-and-out playmaker, right? The ball in front of him chasing down balls into the channel. So when you invert the two of them, creates a very dangerous opportunity. Also for someone like Speedy or Bolu to step up and reset the line defensively and bring numbers forward, because this stout Lou City midfield, you know they want to be on the ball.
This will sneak out to Corbin Bone, who dealt with injuries the tail end of last year. You could say that about most of the midfield, to be fair. Certainly Tyler Gibson. And so early in the year, to your point, getting on the ball means getting those playmakers for Louisville healthy and fully in form and fit after what last year amounted to a lot of patching some of the holes in the dam. Ball caroms off Del Piccolo. Chasing Akinyoti. Del Piccolo closing in on a second century mark, right?
Moving himself up the all-time assist leader in the USL Championship as well, chasing King Kenny. Actually, top 2 in the USL Championship tonight doing battle. Canardo Forbes and Danny Barrera. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Hartford Athletic.
Nothing vanilla about that matchup. Sharpie. And back from Winder.
This was one of the great things week 1 that if you watch closely, Lou City very comfortable. The switch between Winder and Sharpie. Sharpie, of course, more than capable of playing either center back position, whoever's paired next to him. But Josh Winder has definitely taken a step in that area. And keep an eye on Tyler Gibson, dropping back to help out. We know that he's comfortable on the ball, but his defensive duties helping the movement coming forward. Took a very different turn than what we saw in 2021.
Well, that's what Louisville saw from Speedy Williams for years. He takes over, distributes forward, now all the way to Murphy. Murphy bouncing calmly, scooped up by Morton. Murphy was in most everybody's nightmares last year with Memphis. Well, you can tell Anthony Pulis displeased with such an easy throw for Louisville. Here's Josh Winder. Great news over the offseason. A loan secured for his brother, Elijah Winder, who dealt with injury last year, a brutal injury at that. Cross flicked into the air. Soares out for a corner. First set piece of this game is a vivified corner for Louisville City. Elijah Winder, by the way, off to Tucson in League One. Hope to get him some minutes, and one of the first real players to crack out of the academy back into the team sooner than later. Corner here for Louisville City. Not so fast, my friend. Bone. Soares into the air. Perez trying to get a piece, but Antonelli got knocked down. That's a polite demonstration from Paolo.
That's one way to put it, right?
There are certain things, you know, the leaves turning in the spring, Paolo Del Piccolo explaining exactly why he wasn't guilty of said foul.
My kid scores 9 goals last year, and all of a sudden he can do whatever he wants.
Yes, the season is back. Del Piccolo gets knocked down, and this time it's Akinyoti commits the foul. Joshua Perez picks up an ill-advised yellow card.
This will be one that'll be talked about early on. The exploits defensively of Joshua Perez and an untimed yellow card just 10 minutes into the match. His manager won't take too kindly to that.
That slide sends Ownby on the run. Dev, don't act like you haven't gotten your fair share of ticky-tack yellow cards.
Mike, I'm not even playing tonight. I was booked before I walked into the building. Just walked up to the referees, apologized, right? Gentlemen, Godspeed. You know it's never a good sign when you're on a first-name basis with your head referee and crew. Like maybe one of them, that's fine, but you start to roll 2, 3 deep. Fourth official says hello at the local Denny's.
How are the kids?
Yeah.
Manny Perez. Back for Sharpie. Gibson further taken away by Perez. Grabbed by Gonzalez. Perez. He's lined up his mark. Sharpie. Deflection skews through. Header from De Silva. Still there for Louisville. This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Scoreless in the 12th minute. Second home game for Louisville to start the year. Bone, the return. Came out toward Perez. Now Gibson. Ball soars across over Ownby.
Very patient from Lou City. Love the ball movement, and something that's kind of hard to pick up, but we can walk you through it. Is just gave you an idea seconds prior. Tyler Gibson, as Lou City was recycling from right to left, had dropped into a center back spot. Wes Sharpie pushed into an outside back spot. Fast forward about 20 seconds, Mike. Miami FC vacates the center of the field. What does Gibson do? Steps up into it, pulls another runner with him, and the next thing you know, Brian Ownby, in the spot that was initially occupied by Sharpie, allows himself to just drift to that far post. It's the little things within this Lou City system over the past 12 months that have continuously allowed them to take that next step, right? It's always about what's the next step for Lou City. Yes, we know the golden boots. Yes, we know the titles, but the systematic success is something that has come leaps and bounds in the past 18 months or so.
Oh. Retribution is swift. Another booking. Palacios quickly into the book this season. He had 10 yellows in 27 games last year.
Both Palacios and Josh Perez are sitting on yellows, 2 in the span of 4 minutes on that right flank for Anthony Pulis. Just something to keep an eye on. It is an area that we saw all too frequently attacked last year for Lou City. You're going to see the same thing this year. Amadou Dia not making any friends early on in this match. Jorge Gonzalez, quick little cut inside, open up the space.
Well, Miami's proving exactly how far apart they are. See hands touching there to try and get their line right. Stepping over, handled by Jake McGuire, the 27-year-old native of California. Last year was in USL League One with North Carolina FC. Connor Sparrow, the latest injured Miami FC player, started week 1. Goalkeeper at Miami has been a bit of a revolving door.
That's one way to put it.
Gonzalez. Oops, he's turned on the Jets. Palacios gets a piece. You're not going to see a second booking from that, but you're going to see a great set piece opportunity to come.
Not exactly sure what the argument was here. It looked plain as day to be the hand away from the body. Palacios right into the face of Jorge Gonzalez. Quick feet, both of the boys on the left. Amadou Dia doing the damage just minutes prior, and now the Spaniard getting into the act. Not the best of delivery last time around. I did notice, though, all of the bodies that were drifting towards the top of the 18. Not as many this time around, but the trickery, something that you and I have witnessed firsthand for Lou City, dating back quite a few years. Lots of ideas and the willingness to attack them.
It's a fifth, third free kick to come. Kind of chaos can be created here. It'd be Dia or Gonzalez to put it in play. Gonzalez with a bounce. Del Piccolo got a touch to that and flicks it out. Came in a little too hot for the captain to handle. Mid-March day in Louisville, Kentucky, the kind of day that makes you feel for the groundskeeping staff. 44 degrees at kickoff in Kentucky. Enough to wear a jacket if you're a coach, a hat, a scarf, and a puffy jacket if you're a fan, maybe a blanket too. Racing Louisville opening up the campaign in the Challenge Cup. Louisville playing last weekend, so it's been a busy time here on one of the fields that's been applauded as one of the best in the league. Ball rolls back. McGuire's under so much pressure, he pulls it back. There's not a lot of highlights from goalkeepers, but that'll suffice.
Spent the offseason with Dia and Gonzalez. Rooming together.
Heavy collision. Referee allowed that to play out for a moment. Now he's decided to bring it back. And with it, a yellow card for Dia. Dia having words with Paco Craig. Craig was with Louisville in 2018 when they won the final against Dia's Phoenix Rising.
Letting him know the house that was built by some of the boys here prior to their departure. Paco Craig just having a conversation with Amadou Dia. 100th regular season appearance for that man. Spread across a few organizations, supporting Kansas City, Phoenix Rising. Circle it back around one more time to the Peter Vermees organization. Now Lou City, that had to be an area, Mike, and we addressed it in the offseason. We talked about it with Danny Cruz. So much within this squad that maybe some of it needed to be changed, but some of it had to be filled. And the left back spot addressed immediately with the acquisition of Amadou Dia. Great pickup.
And there's a good chance, as good as Jonathan Gomez was and continues to be in his early days at Real Sociedad B, the reserve side for the La Liga side, they didn't send him out on loan. They kept him within the organization, intriguingly enough. You might not get some of the rookie mistakes. You might not get some of the overzealous nature of Jonathan Gomez. As good as he was, and will continue to be, Dia provides a lot of the positives and maybe pulls back a few of the negatives that you get with a young player.
I would love to add to that, but unfortunately you've decided to take my game check. It took over the analyst chair, huh?
Oops.
Good for you.
We're off and running this year, clearly.
Well, you're spot on it for sure. And defensively, Lou City, this is, if everybody's healthy and available for selection, this is the deepest the back line has been in quite some time. There's a couple ifs in there.
Look, Miami can tell you they felt their back line was as depth filled as possible, and then they've been down 2 center backs, multiple outside backs. So it's a fickle business staying healthy in the back. Oh, good ball down the line. Perez was giving chase. Louisville's taken over. Ownby, De Silva continuing to go after this, and that ricochet will soar up. Referee's going to have at minimum a stern talking to Paulo Del Piccolo.
A little surprised we didn't see Brian Ownby follow through on the ball just before. Little bounce here and there. Little step up by Luca Antonelli, and watch the little outstretch right there on the backside. De Silva leans into it. Paulo Del Piccolo does make contact. Maybe too much of an acting effort put forth in his opinion. And the shape for Miami FC, we already addressed in the positive nature you can get moving forward, Mike. The relationship between Romeo Parks, Pierre De Silva. Defensively, keep your eye on Parks, because at times what you will see is he'll actually step up next to Kyle Murphy. They'll flatten out the midfield, drop into a very traditional 4-4-2, not uncharacteristic whatsoever for an Anthony Pulis squad. We addressed that earlier. But to me, one of the biggest changes I've seen in that meshing of Miami last year and this year is the space on the inside. You see this European brand of that 4-4-2 where it becomes the stack twos of 6 players, the 2-2-2. We saw Ernst Tanner implement that into the Philadelphia Union organization a few years back. Red Bull experimented with it here and there. It does a couple of things, gives you a lot of versatility with your attackers moving forward. The balance, though, has to be there, and you got to be very careful if you're Bolu or Speedy as to your whereabouts on the field and the guys around you. That can break down quite rapidly.
Parks brought down Murphy. Good recovery to step in. Wes Sharpie, all he could handle there. There's De Silva. Debuted under Anthony Pulis at Orlando City B at 17 years old. 23-year-old drives this across now. That hung up for quite some time. Out in front of Scouse's house. Last week at halftime, they honored Brad Estes, and then he bolted back to his seats. He's now an official member, the former president of the club.
If I'm not mistaken, there's a couple other honorees in the building this evening.
Don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but
what it must be for Brad Estes to be able to sit back and enjoy it a bit more than normal game day operations, right?
I'm sure it's far more relaxing being a fan.
Well, I mean, he talked extensively about the 18, 20-hour days up at dawn. Certainly no rest at dusk. Late into the night.
It's a good build-up, and it fell off the foot of Harris. De Silva holds, and then he can be electric. Murphy couldn't hang on. You know, I was thinking about it earlier in context of a previous conversation, the house that Ruth built, so on. It's difficult to say any one person built this house, so to speak, Lynn Family Stadium. You could certainly say John Neese. But it goes far deeper than that. I'm sure everyone in the organization would acknowledge that. Not as simple as saying the house that Estes or O'Connor comes through. Bone tried to flick that off the outside of his foot. He does win a corner for all that action.
That's the brilliance of Lou City and their organization, is it's never one individual. It's much bigger than that, and within that system on the field, we ask for more of this coming in, right? That step up from Del Piccolo or Corbin Bone moving into the final third. An area of interest early on last season. Once they progressed further, saw a lot more activity. More importantly, saw a lot more results coming out of those two spots.
Gonzalez falls in front, lifted up. Perez. He said Miami got a touch to it, and indeed they did. Another vivified corner kick to come. Dia McGuire. Danger's not done yet. Gonzalez goes in, all speared down. As far as Ownby, takes that can of corn and nods it wide. Cutting inside, that strike reverts back. Dia swiftly. Gonzalez out, Ownby. Options galore there. Dia, Ownby to the backside, came off the head of Del Piccolo.
Beautifully patient here from the home squad. Very difficult, though, for Del Piccolo to get on this ball. Did a good job getting back on side as his run drifts to the far post. He's already moving away from the ball, Mike. Recipe for disaster. He wants to be able to attack it, but as a player in that position, you're doomed because you've done everything right just to get into a spot for that ball to be served in and not have the referee's flag to go up. Then to change your momentum and get after it, almost impossible.
Ahead for Ownby. Ownby trying to keep that alive. That's going to get out. Hey, Dev, you missed trivia night, right?
Always.
What if I told you that tonight's trivia is brought to you by Tony's Brake and Alignment?
No. I mean,
most appearances in the championship.
I mean, come on.
Greg?
This isn't even fair for you.
No.
That you asked it to me.
Because I came up with the question. Surely. Hang in there. We'll answer it.
I'd like to phone a friend, Alex. Speaking of Kyle Gregg. Just kidding.
He's changed sides in Eastern Conference rivalry.
The Lou City faithful will be happy to know that the side that he's currently donning, do we call it, is it yellow and gold?
The Hoops.
The Hoopers. Kyle Gregg and the Hoops of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Juan Tejada up 1-0 against the counterparts to be known as the other half. Maybe the Lou City faithful, the lesser half in Lipa FC. Juan Tejada scored like 50 seconds into that game tonight.
Wow. That came off the kneecap. That was a way of saying that Tampa Bay currently leads 1-0 against Indy 11. This will come down to Murphy. Flag is up. That's offside. Louisville City. 7 years, 7 conference finals in the USL Championship. Back for more. Both these teams making some pretty notable roster additions and subtractions. For Louisville, 15 return, 10 are new. Oh, quaff by, and El Piccolo. Is that one foul too many? Once a referee starts to count, you know you're running out of time, and Del Piccolo's gone into the book. It's the hardest working card in Kentucky. Oh, Del Piccolo into the book. Miami, by the way, 10 new, 14 returns. So basically identical number of newcomers. It's just who's available here at the outset. Pulis made the catch. 2 out. It'll belong to Louisville here. Any surprises from Anthony Pulis that you've seen now? We've gone about a game and a half with him at the helm. It was interesting talking to him. For us, it had been a little while since he had left St. Louis. And it felt like he was strengthened in his overarching convictions as to how to coach. We're talking about a guy who at 35 had already been a head coach for 4 years. Perez. It was interesting to hear about a guy who recognized maybe the best step forward is to go back. Bone. Be an assistant for some really creative people, starting with Diego Alonso. Good read by Perez.
You're going to have opportunities like that throughout your career, and sometimes you're not going to have a right answer. Sometimes it's just going to be the challenge, Mike, that helps push you to another level. Anthony Pulis fully admitted that that was the case. His opportunity, MLS, Inter Miami, you mentioned, heard some really good things behind the scenes from people in the organization and outside of how much responsibility was given to him under Diego Alonso, and then, you know, as the regime started to change, that continued. And said he felt like he always wanted to be here, though, right? Back in the championship, that was sort of where he needed to go, wanted to be a head coach. Maybe it wasn't time for him within MLS. It's a fickle spot, that coaching position, isn't it? It does make you wonder, what if at St. Louis?
Absolutely.
He said how good that organization was. You know, he knew people had kind of talked about that the writing was on the wall there for them in the future. Of course, Steve Trittschuh seeing them out in 2020, but that the organization was so good at steering him in the right direction. But what if it hadn't gone that way and he would have stayed? Who knows?
Perez.
Bet you he can still play.
Anthony?
Oh, yeah.
No question.
Absolutely.
By the way, it seems so distant, and I guess the time warp that we've lived in now for just over 2 years explains some of it. Perez. Ownby. But I think it might be easily forgotten. Anthony Pulis piloted St. Louis to the Open Cup quarterfinal.
Well, I was going to say the other side of the argument would be that in theory, he did have something to do with the Louisville organization. In theory, you go back to those Orlando days.
True enough. He once upon a time donned this purple with James O'Connor, no less.
Absolutely. Aiden Quinn was on that team. One Jamie Watson.
True enough.
Now we're in the well.
All the way down Gonzalez. Sliding to try and keep this in. Who touched it last at Zach and Yodi. It's a Louisville corner.
The key difference you're seeing right now between these two teams offensively is just rotation. Everything for the Miami FC moving forward. Slight bout of possession, then long ball and chasing. Blue City left and right. Brian Ownby coming in, still getting down to the byline. Jorge Gonzalez coming all the way back over to drift inside that right shoulder of Wilson Harris. They're really challenging the opposition.
Corner, Lou City. Can Miami spring forward? It's backstopped by Ownby. Gonzalez swivels it outside. Palacios stepping forward for Miami. Puts Louisville in reverse. Trio of purple shirts arrive. Ball across Del Piccolo. Del Piccolo again! Louisville breaks the deadlock in the 36th minute. And the captain's got his scoring touch back.
We talked about the rotation, but the key point was advancement from the troops in the center of the park. You had to implore the likes of Corbin Bode and Del Piccolo to get in and challenge this back line. Why not? Look at the occupied territory by their 9, Wilson Harris, standing up both center backs and the forgotten soldier that is Paolo Del Piccolo. Yes, the recipient of the kind bounce. Yes, he's all alone, but still so much work to be done. 9-21, and the first of many here in this campaign.
That goal presented by the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. Nine last year, to your earlier point.
I told you about the spacing, though. Start a step there, Mike, but the spacing that you run into if you're the Miami FC, it's where all of these runs are coming from. The success for Lou City since the start of the 2021 season was always predicated on two main things. One, could they get enough pressure regularly down into the channels on both wings? Because you know you have Cameron Lancaster and you knew you had a stout back line. But could you do it on either side of the field? And then where was the next wave attack going to come from? When that doesn't happen, they don't have success.
Sharpie lost it, allowed Parks to get that forward. His service, something to be desired.
The other side of that is defensively. Miami just gets caught up. You know, they understand where the main threat is coming from in Wilson Harris, recent acquisition from the Sporting Kansas City organization. Scores week one, and that quick little dash to the front post, you know someone's going to step with him. The problem is Segbers doesn't react on the back post. Antonelli, Paco Craig, both caught on the number one target, and then you forget about that second wave. Good little sip in behind Del Piccolo through Akinyote and Speedy Williams, and there's that like 8-yard. It's this gray area to step into. Every single time against almost every team in the league, you will run into those scenarios.
Push in, play continues. And if Louisville hasn't been the king of utilizing that area within the championship these past few years, belongs to Miami.
To be fair to the visitors, all they need to do is just get on the ball more right now. And that's easier said than done against this Lou City squad. It's where the pressure is coming from, for sure. There's a good job defensively. They've got the high line for most of the first half. But what ends up happening is there's a turnover. Miami chases for so long, they immediately feel like they have to go the other direction. Sometimes it's an outlet pass to try and reset their own lines. But the problem is when they do link up on the offensive front, there's really only one option, and it's the person who's just picked up the ball. No second, no third run. If it is coming, it's got purple shirts all around them. De Silva, Perez, Parks, all been marked out when they do start to counter going the other way. This has got to be a cohesive movement as they start to continue throughout this match. When that ball goes, everybody has to step in unison. It's turnovers and too much space.
Ownby, handled by McGuire. Edge of your seat, not out of your seat. Baptist Health is the proud partner and exclusive provider of medical support and athletic training services to Louisville City FC and Racing Louisville. Visit baptisthealth.com/ortho to learn more. Have you seen the light exercises they've been doing, by the way, on social media? Trouble brewing here. That was quick thinking, and Winder paid a price for it. I don't know if it's related to Baptist Health. I just appreciate seeing Oscar Jimenez and Cameron Lancaster competing to see who can touch the bulbs fast enough to keep up, and then tying at 50 apiece. Couple of boos. Those birds have come back for spring. Speedy Williams. Maybe the most stark thing to me about Miami at this stage, to your point about possessing the ball more, is I don't think Speedy's gotten nearly enough touches.
Not in the right areas.
Segbers gets it outside to Silva. Further Segbers, good interchange between the two. Oh, torn up. Excellent. I think you're very excited to see what Manny Perez brings to this team.
100%. Given everything that we've seen out of him so far, is what seems to be extensive but very short career coming out of NC State.
Well, and he got to start under Dave Sarakin, who really talked him up over the years.
He's got a challenge tonight, too. Think about who he's matched up against. Mark Segbers, if you talk to the coaches around this league, I would bet almost everybody's got him top 5 outside back. Now, to be fair, it's on the other side of the field, but he's still doing a good job on the left. Pierre da Silva right there. To have success, though, in a two-way player, I think Perez is something that he will learn under Danny Cruz and really everybody within this staff. To go back to your point for 1 second, though, Mike, on the Miami FC, you talked about Speedy Williams and maybe not being on the ball a ton. He's been very efficient on it. The problem is those little turnovers we talked about. He's the one picking it up, playing a 5 or 10 yard ball, and then really the next person up stops that action. So it's the ball to the outside, played down away, and then they turn it right back over. So he's having to do a lot of chasing off the ball with all these runs coming forward.
Here's Perez getting forward himself after the Miami miscue. Still a couple minutes left in this first half. Paulo Del Piccolo opens the scoring for Louisville tonight. 36th minute of play. Gonzalez. Perez. Doesn't seem like Louisville's all that interested in trying to win aerial duels with Paco Craig with long balls from wide service.
You notice they've actually pulled off on the tempo the last 8 to 10 minutes as well.
And then defensively they press there. Ownby is looking for Harris.
That's what you have to be careful of when watching this Lou City team, among many other things, right, is 30 minutes into this game, everything quick touches, let's go in transition. Everybody follows suit as Tyler Gibson on the far side just before halftime will earn himself a nice little reward. Again, the argument, really difficult to understand where it's coming from. Outstretched arm the entire way. But they go, then all of a sudden, Mike, that high line that we talk about, they tuck themselves in about a 40 to 50 yard gap. Very difficult for Miami FC to play out of. That once they do, they don't have to worry about going 70 yards on the counter. It's a 20-yard touch and little ball back across. Same result, right?
Well, it's Miami that benefits here with a set piece as we approach stoppage time. Headers away. Da Silva couldn't bring it down, and Ownby straight line sprint. 1 added minute in this first half. Williams on the dribble, but that actually worked out for him there. Had the offside flag not gone up.
Well, if you're Louisville, one of the big topics of conversation from Danny Cruz after the game wasn't we won or great atmosphere. It was we held 0 clean sheets in the preseason, and we finally got one against Atlanta. So far, fairly stout. Held the possession, made it really difficult for Miami.
Think about how poor it was, putting it kindly, mid-season on, and the goals they were conceding right in this time frame as well. Not the case week 1, certainly not the case in the opening 45 minutes here for Lou City. Clean would be the way to describe it. If you're Miami FC, plenty of time to get back into the game. One issue, got to get on the ball. Got to find a way to dictate this tempo on your own terms. They did way too much chasing in the first half. Lou City will come out even hotter at the start of the second.
Devin, let's remind everybody about tonight's trivia question before we head to halftime. It's brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. Most appearances in the championship is, and that man's top 15, by the way.
The big man up top. Number 1, George Davis IV. The legend that is.
Bingo.
242 appearances.
Why do we bring that up?
Could be in the building.
Yeah. We'll show you at halftime. Halftime in Louisville, Kentucky, as the Louisville Legends on the field have a lead, and the Louisville Legends recently retired. We'll take it in a moment. Got first half highlights, a look around the league, and so much more in the Serve Pro halftime after these messages.
Louisville's magnetic. When I hear Louisville, Kentucky, I think about culture. I think about the horses, I think about the bourbon, I think about the people. You have everything you need in a big city. At the same time, you feel like you go to the grocery store and see everybody that you know. You know, people here have a lot of human experience. I think they're eager to tell you about their lives. They've lived a lot of places and they've decided, hey, this is home, this is where I want to be because I love it here.
Honey, did you get our account switched over to Commonwealth Credit Union?
Yeah, I got that taken care of, sweetie.
You switched over everything. All our automatic payments, direct deposits, even our savings account?
Yep, I told you I'd get it taken care of.
You should never get stuck with a checking account you hate. That's why Commonwealth Credit Union has made things easy. Try Switch It today, only from Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Toyota actually spends $1 million every hour of every day on R&D.
It's all part of an even larger $30 billion investment to design and build vehicles in the USA.
Made in America means something to Toyota, like 176,000 jobs and over 30 million Toyotas built right here in the USA.
And for over 20 years, Toyota's electrified vehicles have been leading the way towards a better tomorrow.
The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota.
Let's go places.
Welcome back to halftime. The halftime score brought to you by Serve Pro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Welcome back to Butchertown. Lou City 1, Miami FC 0. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr back with you with plenty to talk about here at halftime. Let's take a look at some news and notes around the league. Kobe Henry, Diego Luna, deserving call-ups.
How long do we see Kobe Henry in an Orange County jersey?
Not long.
No, that's an extremely talented individual. Diego Luna doing battle right now for El Paso Locomotive, off to the U20s, club and country. Absolutely. There is the USL on ESPN Deportes. Our good friends back to action.
Yep, Jose and Jesus working tonight as well. El Paso and New Mexico.
0-0, 15 minutes in Super League. Like the calendar change?
Love it.
Love it. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm on board. I think it's a great thing, and it gives you so many different angles and looks, right? Where do you get your talent from? Where do they go? More opportunities for the players. That's a big-time move for the USL Super League.
Let's talk about the upcoming schedule and scoreboard around the league. Loudoun goes to Red Bull. There was one road win all last week in 13 games, and Loudoun started off this week with a win away to New York.
Ryan Martin just walked into the big city and said, "You're welcome." 3-0, back-to-back wins. I'd be interested to see how many times they've done that in their organization's history, because not many an opportunity. How about tonight? Phoenix at Las Vegas. A lot of people will look at that and go, that's easy for Phoenix. You'd be surprised. History tells you it's a lot harder for Rising out there. I like that game. San Diego, Sacramento Republic. To me, that's a measuring stick. Mark Briggs on the road, San Diego at home. That should be a good one.
And Orange County, the reigning champion, will play RGV, who beat Phoenix in penalties last year in the postseason. By the way, it's because the Phoenix players stay in their room and always handle their business in Vegas.
It's March Madness, man.
True enough. We've got plenty more coming up here. Serve Pro halftime. That is the only reference to madness in March that we're going to make in the state of Kentucky tonight. Plenty more coming up after the break.
I mean, yeah, this time today I'm gonna go topics.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What? This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it. What?
Steers it to Diego. Unselfish Diego. Put it in! What a goal!
Comando Moreno sticks it in, and New Mexico United take the lead, and the lab is rocking.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Wow.
Perfect.
I think red is more me. Giddy up.
Now get 2.49 APR financing on an adventurous new 22 RAV4 or the electrified 40 MPG RAV4 Hybrid. Plus, you get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Thomas! He's got two! A shooting star for Orange County. And that's full time. The old guard with a new trophy. Orange County wins the USL Championship final. Well, that shooting star is now in Sweden, transferred this week for a six-figure fee, and Orange County plays their home opener. They'll unveil what is surely not a comically small banner in Orange County tonight. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr back with you. Halftime brought to you by Serve Pro, official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Let's take a look at the first half highlights. Why not? Perez over the bar, skip ahead to the 26th minute. It was really all Louisville in that first half.
Press, wash, rinse, repeat. The attacks were coming from all over the place. Saw a lot down the left-hand side. Amadou Dia, Jorge Gonzalez, good trailing runs were the key talking point coming into this match. We saw a lot of it, but nobody was really able to get onto it. That trailing run to Del Piccolo on the back post, couldn't get to the header. Finally, it pays off. Notice how he just drifts, bides his time, right outside the top of the six. Backline forgets about him, plain and simple. Antonelli, Paco Craig, watch the left shoulder. Everybody steps into Wilson Harris. Forgets about that late run. Segbers doesn't pinch in. That's easy pickings for number 36 in the 36th.
9 goals last year, and yes, 36 and 36. 1-0 lose City. Skip ahead to the 40th minute. And Brian Ownby from about 25 yards.
Easy, Brian.
Let's take a look at the halftime stats brought to you by River City Flooring. Pretty telling.
Yeah, the possession battle for me, any team that comes to Lynn Family Stadium, right? if you give it up, that's not the end of the world. But what are you going to do when you do have the ball? No shots on target. Obviously, that's a problem for Miami FC. For me, Mike, it was more about what they did with the ball when they got it. Not the goals, the actual possession or lack thereof. Speedy Williams not on the ball enough. Bolu knocking too many long balls down into the channel. There was no relationship whatsoever between Romeo Parks and Kyle Murphy. Got to fix that problem. And the balance has to be there between Pierre da Silva and Josh Perez. That was non-existent as well in the first half. So defensively, not the end of the world, sustained a lot of pressure. Offensively, no respite.
And Gerald Flores, 5 yellow cards in that first half, something to keep an eye on here. Could we get a 9th red card in the first week and a half of USL Championship play? Hot chocolate is the drink of choice here tonight. Temps in the 40s in Louisville. Hasn't kept the fans away and has not kept George Davis IV and Chris Hubbard away. We'll tell you more about that when we return.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region. It's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Wow. Perfect. I think red is more me. Giddy up.
Get 2.49 APR financing on the new aggressively styled 2022 Highlander or the electrified Highlander Hybrid that'll take you 580 miles on a tank of gas.
Ready, set, go get your Toyota today.
Toyota, let's go places.
When fire and water threaten your home, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you every step of the way in your journey back. 1-800-SERVPRO and ServPro.com. Like it never even happened.
Welcome back, everyone, to Louisville, Kentucky and Lynn Family Stadium. Halftime is brought to you by ServPro, official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. A few moments ago, Trinity High School graduate, Kentucky alum. That's on the left, Hubbard. Trinity High School from Louisville, and then on to Notre Dame. Starting goalkeeper George Davis IV went to UK. Honored, retired over the offseason, and, well, the fans got a chance to applaud.
We were just talking about how many individuals had a hand in building this storied USL Championship organization. Those are 2 easy ones to pick out, right? Chris Hubbard, a guy that, you know, in that 2019 season that felt just short to the Monarchs, revolving door for goalkeepers. Hubbard was the one that stabilized everything down the stretch, and George Davis, who had already created this massive name for himself elsewhere, comes in, helps push Louisville City to not 1, not 2 stars, but 2 stars, Eastern Conference Championships, appearances, Golden Boots. I mean, he's really done everything for them, hasn't he?
Yeah. There aren't 2 stars on that crest for sure without those 2. It doesn't mean that Hubbard was always starting or that Davis was the top scoring option. Both so critical in the locker room as well. Miami and Louisville have retaken the field. Felix is on the move. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule here for Louisville City as they prep out what's going to be a busy April especially, but end of March offers a game at Red Bull in Montclair, and then the Louisville-Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest
on March the 26th, then that is where things get difficult. Fly, fly. Underway in this second half of play, Louisville City with a 1-0 advantage over Miami FC. Glad you're with us tonight, Mike and Devin, back in the saddle for what will be, I'm sure, a lengthy, endearing, exciting campaign. Going back, Sharpie. Let's be honest, Devin, if you're Miami, you are going to be over the moon to get back home. Loudon on Saturday, then they host Colorado Springs, then an Open Cup match before they go to Tampa Bay, playing St. Pete for that Floridian rivalry. Chance for them to get back to FIU and maybe build something out here early in the season.
I was actually going to try and hop, skip, jump my way over to that game.
Which one?
The game on Saturday, April 9th at 7:30 p.m. Al Lang.
Okay.
The Miami FC at Tampa Bay Rowdies.
I'll check my schedule, see if I can join for that.
We got someone else coming to the South Florida area.
Ball cleared away by Sharpie. Ticks into this second half. You know, one name that we did not mention in that first half was Paul Dalglish as well, who vacated the position at Miami, and then shortly after the championship final last year, Anthony Pulis was announced. And you'd be hard-pressed to look at this Miami FC team, which in 2020 struggled mightily coming out of the COVID pandemic break. Missed the postseason for the first time in franchise history in any league. And then last year bounced back so effectively in the grand scheme and took Louisville all the way to 90 minutes. '74th minute winner from Jorge Gonzalez separated the teams, but Miami gave a little consternation to the Louisville faithful that night in November.
4-8-4, to your point.
Yep.
It was not very kind, and that was Nelson Vargas started off where Paul Dalglish was in the front office and on the technical director side of things, and said, you know what, he had stepped away from the managerial role. Nelson, massive name in the South Florida community, felt like his time within the academy was going to help give them a boost and knew really the true heartbeat of this team, and that just ended up not being the case. Once Dalglish stepped in, you could already see the turn towards the end of the season, right? The players felt it, and what could have been. I mean, that team, 3 out of the last 4 picked up points.
Yep.
Remember, Charleston Battery, Independence, I mean, those were teams playoff bound, and they were able to pick off 4 points against those two. That's not that easy to do for anyone. Just ask Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Oh, turned over, Bone back. Gonzalez swings through. McGuire springs to the side, parries it out.
They went and got him for a reason. Watch this save by Jake McGuire, because you have to commend the press by Lou City. All the way to the byline. There's the little run from Corbin Bone. Comes out of the pocket. As this sprays back across, easily could be 2-0 if not for Jake McGuire. Difficult save. Down low, away from the body, outstretched the entire way, and with a hop, skip, and a jump off the turf. Beautifully done.
5-5 corner to come. Gonzalez. Header back and cleared away from the line. What an odd header that was back toward the face of goal. Looked like Winder got up there. And by the way, to go all the way back to the first half, good shout on the Twitter. This bounces up to Antonelli, who gets it away. But certainly Wayne Estopinal's name is prominently displayed at the end of the venue, bringing the club in the first place. And James O'Connor coming back, the inaugural manager. I mean, you could
You could just simply put it at this stadium was built by a village. Speedy Williams, part of the early decor at Slugger Field.
That's a ball right there. Dear Lord, Amadou Dia.
Ownby, advantage played, overlap arrives, ball swung in and handled simply by McGuire.
You talked earlier in the first half about some of the things that you would or would not get in comparison between Amadou Dia and Jonathan Gomez. That's a look right there. That ball by a younger player doesn't understand the pace, what sort of little English you have to put on it to spray it through. Amadou Dia, left-footed boot, little English on the right-hand side, drifts it right through the center and easily able to go the other direction.
McGuire, McGuire just fell down. Miami already down Connor Sparrow. If you're Anthony Pulis, it's a little bit troublesome after that. Noah Abrams, the 24-year-old Englishman, only other goalkeeper on the roster. And I got to tell you, I don't know that there's a team in the league that's had worse luck over the last 2 years at the goalkeeping position than Miami.
It's definitely his plant foot. You're just hoping that maybe his knee rolls a little bit here. You saw him point right to it. I've been that. I've lived that life where non-contact, just striking through a ball, and you know immediately as a player when it doesn't feel right. Was there any contact is the question. There was pressure coming from the left-hand side. An argument to be made behind the scenes for a little rough and tumble by that man right there, Wilson Harris, on Miami FC's goalkeeper, Jake McGuire.
To your point, Wilson Harris picked up the yellow card there. Winder. A little higher pressing from Miami, it feels like, here to start the second half. Murphy giving chase. Gonzalez. Speedy Williams steps in, and now it caught Ownby. Williams goes into the book. That is 4 yellow cards issued to Louisville players and 3 now to Miami players.
Told you coming in, the exploitations that were Josh Winder week 1 against Atlanta United 2, the 16-year-old. Watch him step off the back line as he comes back through. He had the forced most passes in the final third for a reason. You make everybody else commit. The first line of confrontation, there's the step up in the midfield by Parks. Speedy Williams gets caught out of position, and then you're just chasing the entire way. Next man up, next man up. Bolu gets pulled. Speedy trying to come all the way back across, instead gets caught up. That's what you get out of a center back who's comfortable in his own skin, willing to push the tempo going forward and find his distribution.
Now to Ownby, floating over Harris. Cleared, there's an appeal there from at least the fan base. That may have caught an arm, if not a delicate tug. The back heel from Del Piccolo. Ball rolled down the line. Ownby unimpeded. Ownby, Del Piccolo. That'll fly up toward Kentucky's longest bar.
Same run. It's got to be a louder shout here on the back post. And if you're Miami FC, you got to be quicker here in transition to pick up the other runs. This is just prior. Not a bad shout. I looked right at you in the sense that this had come off the arm of Bolu Akinyoti. Del Piccolo wide open inside the top of the 18 again, Mike, especially when he's already made those run a few times. You pick up a goal, you got to find a way to track them. It's not that difficult. Just having a little issue with communication here, Miami FC.
Perez rolling all the way to the penalty spot and laid back by Del Piccolo and launched forward. Roll back by Paco Craig. It's a bit odd seeing him at Lynn Family Stadium and not wearing purple last year. It's not a sight Louisville fans had to totally come to grips with yet.
Remember early on, we didn't see it because Speedy Williams was on international duty. First ever goal scorer in Lynn Family.
And that was the best thing that happened that day against Pittsburgh.
A day to be forgotten.
Gonzalez shiftily forward. Teed that up, and De Silva marches to the halfway line.
Just look at the numbers, though. It's 5v3. It's the same issue they ran into the entirety of the opening 45 minutes. What's interesting is the willingness to continue to play that ball. You don't have to. Like, that ball didn't need to be played between the two center backs of Louisville. Step on it, allow the support to come up behind you, maintain possession, widen yourself out.
And instead, Louisville gets to suck some of the marrow out of the bone here. Bone. Del Piccolo with a deflection to the backside. What a save! McGuire. A kick save and a beauty to deny Ownby. Whoa.
Can't really ask for much more if you're Lou City, the way that this thing ends up. Obviously, you want it in the back of the net, but the quick little touches, having fun on the back post if you're Jorge Gonzalez, and Paolo Del Piccolo catches the deflection.
Oh.
Is that a save or the post?
That's the post. Take it out of save of the week. Body flies in front of the post, and with the sliding McGuire, the optical illusion of a great save, rather a goalkeeper who knows that the post is there, I suppose.
Defensively, they're just, it's frantic right now. Everybody's worrying about the next runner, and they're forgetting the simplistic things, Mike, of just peek over the shoulder. Where's the actual run coming from? The most threatening run in that situation is going to be the ball bending way to the back post, unless there's an underlap, which there's not. There's the two players at the top of the 18. You let it run through. At that point in time, that ball 9 times out of 10 is going to be hit to the back post, especially with Del Piccolo having the ball on his right foot.
Gonzalez. Look at how high up Dia is. Dia dummied De Silva. As far as Winder, that's clean. You know, you listen to Danny Cruz, sure feels like Winder's gotten beyond the earning some time on the field of last year and impressed this team mightily in preseason. Said he was performing like the top center back on the roster the first 3 weeks.
Think about what he said in comparison to that about another position on the field with Brian Ownby and Ray Serrano. He just said simply, Serrano wants to start. He's got to give me a reason. He's got to out-earn Brian Ownby. So that tells you that young Josh Winder has outplayed, out-earned, outworked everybody in that center back role so far. High praise from his manager. Again, 16 years of age. He does not turn lucky number 17 until May 2nd of this year.
Trouble brewing. Murphy. He's appealing for a foul, whether it started before or after he entered the penalty area. And that ball threaded between the center backs offered a bit more difficult defensive display for Louisville.
This was the bread and butter last year for Kyle Murphy. Long balls over the top, chasing down back through. It's where the success was at Loudoun as well at RGV. Haven't had those opportunities tonight. It's just friendly fire there. Really hard for the referee to point to the spot in that situation. Definitely contact, but not taken down from behind. Perfectly read, by the way. Great ball over the top by Speedy Williams.
Ball driven away. Adonijah Reed and Florian Velo are inching toward the fourth official. Dia clips that into Silva's direction. And fourth official stop play here. Miami will go to their bench. They do not have a full bench tonight. Their injury report, 7 players. Brutal start.
If you look up the lineup overall of what it in theory should be, right, given the depth chart and all the conversations. Basically 1, 2, 3, 5 different spots on the field right now that would be different had Anthony Pulis had the ability to pick his first 11. Florian Velo is one of those. And I love the fact that in talking with him, trying to figure out exactly where they were going to be, they brought him into the 10th spot a lot more in the preseason and experimentation. Thought De Silva would have been the guy there given the relationship with Ariel Martinez in 2021. But instead, the Red Bull frontman getting the opportunity to lead the line.
Subs are brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Romeo, Sweet Romeo to the bench. Parks and Joshua Perez for Velo and Reed. Parks had some moments in this game.
For you? I mean, I'll get myself in trouble on this one.
You're more than welcome.
I don't fully blame him not performing to expectation.
It's an intriguing spot to play him in the first place, for sure. The number 10, historically.
It wouldn't be my decision, but I understand why they make that decision, absolutely. And defensively, it's another level right now, Lou City. Meaning this season. The rotation, the players, very different look. And we're just a couple of games in. Not easy to pick up.
Del Piccolo out. He's the goal scorer back in the, I say 36th minute. Gibson out as well. The subs are brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Enoch Mushagalusa into the game. The terror of Kansas City the past few years. And then Masoso into the game as well.
Let's see how quickly Miami FC attack him. I'm going after the 6th spot right now, and I'm not knocking on Napa Masoso, but when you're a player, 64 minutes into a match, the tempo started to come up recently for the Miami FC. The intent, new subs coming on. Wouldn't say that the momentum has shifted, but you've seen Speedy Williams a lot more active. Kyle Murphy, a couple balls played into the channel, into his feet as well. That 6th spot, not easy to step right in. Usually takes a bit longer to become acclimatized.
Comes over to Speedy Williams. The attack is on here for Miami through Palacios. And now Williams. Akinyoti. Luke Antonelli, who's got quite the resume. Playing in the Italian 1st and 2nd division for quite some time. Palacios working with Mushagalusa. In your mind, what's the next step for Enoch Mushagalusa? Because you and I got to see him a ton at Kansas City.
it feels like the expectations in Louisville are just going to be a little higher, playing with a team that, frankly, needs to win. That's the point.
Just a touch. Well, really, it's the biggest, we'll say, knock on some of the youth around this country is the understanding of competition. And competition outside of your own right, meaning you're not just fighting for a spot on your team or within the organization in that system, but how to go and win a game. You know, the route for professional soccer has changed so drastically in the past 20 years, where it was, okay, success at the youth, move to college, go try and win a national championship, go become an All-American, get drafted, get picked up by a professional squad, what have you, and then go win a title there. Now, you have to find a way to be successful at the youth organization in hopes that you can move through it. If you've got an affiliate, USL or MLS, move through those professional ranks, and you're not necessarily out to just go win games. There's plenty of times, and we've seen in USL Championship, where there's a Tacoma, where there's a Loudoun, Sporting Kansas City too. Over the years, we've seen a ton. It's not just about 3 points, right? And so if you're Musha Galusa, you have to understand that you got to step outside that comfort zone now. Now you're going to have to push yourself not just a little bit harder, a lot harder. The system is going to be the key answer on his end. If he can find it, that'll put him at another notch.
And lest we forget, Sporting Kansas City 2 in a previous existence, Wold Park Rangers was a regular in the playoffs, went to 2 finals. Ball be put in play here, won't be Velo. And that's going to soar over Paco Craig. The 5th third free kick gone wrong. Comes down to Ownby here. Louisville trying to start off 2-0. Not over Winder, but there's Amadou Dia. His 100th regular season appearance here tonight in the championship. Bone able to flick that forward. Harris serves it outside. Ownby waits for the support. It's charging in Perez down the line. Musha Galusa. Musha Galusa drives, fires, flicked away off the back heel of Paco Craig. Corner to come. Musha Galusa was in the Rapids Academy for a while. This stat blows my mind. 85 appearances, 53 goals. Collegiately at the JUCO level, 27 goal season. That's wild, Musha Galusa.
Couldn't get it up to a goal a game, huh?
He did in JUCO, didn't in the academy. 5-5 corner for Louisville. Ball served. Ownby spears that high of the bar.
Everybody asked what they thought they were going to get out of Manny Perez coming in. That's it right there. Beautiful distribution being whipped into the box. 45-yard ball, hit with pace, back post, into traffic. That was a mainstay under Dave Sterkin at North Carolina FC. Up and down that right flank the entire match. Much more withdrawn, though, from the outside back position. That was more a 4-2-3-1 roll, 4-3-3. They used him much higher up on the field. He's got to come from a more restricted position. Excellent discipline tonight so far, though.
That's a significant knock ahead from Murphy. Ball bouncing and wired away from goal by Reed. Play is going to come all the way back here. A card's going to be issued. Masoso There's sort of a tisk-tisk tone in Lance McGarvey's voice with that 5th Louisville yellow card. Dia, Harris, and Masoso are on yellows for Louisville. For Miami, it's Speedy Williams and Junior Palacios. Miami goes short. Speedy Williams feathers this over the back line. Bone got the last touch. Corner Miami. Florian Velo stands over it. Time in New York, time in Cincinnati. One of the newcomers for Miami. He's on their leadership council, having won USL and MLS trophies. Velo. People talk about that wild 2016 Red Bull 2 team that won USL Cup, it was called at the time. You talk about Adams and Long, and all deservedly so. I don't know that I hear Florian Velo's name associated with it enough.
Don't hear Florian Velo, don't hear Speedy Williams, don't hear Junior Flemings. That team wasn't stacked. That team was rude. You know, that's a team that walked into the door and was already figuring out what the steak dinner was going to be and where after they had won the match.
There was a really cute Italian restaurant that I went to with Kate Markgraf and Michael Cohen and Bill Herbstman the day before that final, with a delightful singer. But no steak was involved that night. Bouncing all the way down. Below. That's simple enough for Morton. Dev, you and I, well, we've waited for this moment. Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with a heaping side of Southern hospitality. With 6 heat levels to choose from, Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about heat, it's about flavor.
First stop. Wheels down, first stop, Joella's.
I could do that.
I've already perused isn't the right word for the menu.
Oh, man.
Classic chicken. I need a combination of the Make It Slaw or Make It Pimento, where they take the classic hot chicken, top it with sweet vinegar slaw, garlic aioli, and then homemade pimento cheese.
I didn't realize just how far you'd gone in this.
Oh, I'm ready. Talked to the peeps on Twitter, found out.
Ooh.
Not to be undone, one of my favorite restaurants in South Florida is down in Miami.
Ball ahead, Ownby. Ownby charges, Ownby! What an individual effort from Brian Ownby. 2-0 Louisville City.
Coming into this match, Mike, I looked right at you before the game and I said, what are the odds that we get the same types of performances from Brian Ownby in this season that we did in 2021? Career numbers, 5 goals, 11 assists last year. Why? Because he's healthy. When he's healthy, he is almost impossible to stop. Transitionally, beautifully done. As quickly as possible from point A to point B. When the gap starts to close, ingenious. Quick little touch back across, behind the back, no look, no thought, no problem whatsoever for that man right there.
74th minute, that goal presented by Kentucky Lottery. Fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. Well, now Miami's been put to the sword a little bit here. Pierre De Silva came off at that stop. His day is done.
Speaking of rude, by the way, we talked about the Red Bull 2 team of 2016. How many times do you see Brian Ownby cut that ball back across? Right? He's so unselfish by nature. Where the utilization of his best assets, right? I said point A to point B. Gets down, cuts it across, or gets down, steps on it, waits for somebody else, looks for that trailing run that we talk about from a Corbin Bone, a la Jorge Gonzalez, the goal in the 36th minute by Paolo Del Piccolo. If you're a defender, the scouting report does not say that he's going to try and cut it through his legs and beat you one-on-one, especially if you've got weak side cover. Kudos to Brian Ownby.
Bone, yeah, that's a handball. Hey, fans, head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll open for the next 10 minutes. Vote now, twitter.com/LouCityFC. By the way, have you gotten into the e-football thing yet?
No.
No? No time?
Like, I got enough problems.
Mushagalusa. Flag is up. McGuire with, in that instance, a kick save. Wholly unnecessary. With Cameron Lancaster out, I don't know that the preferred option is Wilson Harris as your lead striker at this stage, although they're very confident in the young man. But him and Mushagalusa carrying over as much chemistry as they did from Kansas City probably doesn't hurt. Call it like a Burrow and Chase kind of deal.
I was just going to say, and in a lot of scenarios, both with the ball, without, and whether they're chasing, offensively or defensively, the system is very similar.
Yeah.
The way they drop one midfielder in, drop flat lines across, almost into a 4-1-4-1 at times. Not almost, it is. Get two holding midfielders when one of the eights decides to help out next to Tyler Gibson or Napo Masoso as we talk right now. It really helps young players too, Mike. It's very difficult to put a value on your surroundings, because when you go at a young age like that, when you bounce from one team to another, not even bounce, when you change, excuse me, made it sound like they've been all over. The transition from one organization to the next, it's difficult enough to create relationships with players. Then to feel comfortable on the field if you're given the starting nod or if you're coming off the bench. Then to understand where all the runs are going to come from and build chemistry and be successful all at the same time.
When you're talking about a 22-year-old in Wilson Harris and a 22-year-old in Enoch Mushagalusa, and it's not to say they aren't well-traveled in the grand scheme of their lives. Certainly Mushagalusa, born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, moved to the U.S. when he was 11 years old. But, you know, City can be a big change for a 22-year-old. We got that last. It's going to be a corner. Sorto won a corner there. Morton is apoplectic. Ah, the change has come. All's well that ends well.
The other thing you have to remember is, we discussed earlier how the landscape has changed for these talented young individuals. How, you know, years ago, you were that good, you just kept progressing through, and you became, you know, big fish in a small pond. Now, you're just a fish. And it doesn't matter how good you are, because until you reach the highest level, which they aren't at yet, you're just continuously swimming upstream.
Mushagalusa, the flag is up. Well, that was nearly found treasure for Enoch Mushagalusa.
This has got to be off his hand, I would imagine. He wasn't in an offside position when the ball came up over the top. Watch it when it comes up off the deck right there. I don't know if I see it. I mean, you could see it come towards the midsection, but more towards the upper thigh area, right? Certainly not offside. to my point, Mike, they've never been the guy, right? Because even Wilson Harris, when he was Young Player of the Year a few seasons back in the championship.
Ball clipped into the middle. Speedy Williams curling. Bouncing to Morton. Yeah, that great season he had where he really shot onto the scene.
You may be the guy at that time for Paulo Nagamura in Sporting Kansas City, too. You're still not the #1 at Sporting Kansas City.
Right.
You're still not the 9 or preferred choice for Peter Vermees. Again, always upstream. So that step in where you walk in and you kind of know, okay, my shoulders are a little bit broader. Neither he nor Musha Galosa have had the opportunity to experience that. Neither has Manny Perez, by the way.
Yeah. And let's take that another step. If Cameron Lancaster is healthy right now, we're seeing Wilson Harris coming in here with 10 minutes to go to try and salt the game away, in theory, as opposed to him coming in playing a full 90 minutes in his second game with the club. Wow. Real back and forth in this, and now it's Corbin Bone committing the foul. Another one. Bone into the book.
The theme continues. This illustrious USL Championship evening. Mike talked about it earlier. 4 red cards. Not that we're headed that direction.
Elsewhere, not here. We have no reds here.
For week 1. Lucky number 5 came in the Indy 11 Tampa Bay Rowdies game, as the Rowdies are up 2-0 in the 78th minute. And with the 136th yellow card this evening on this field, every time you turn around, mustard's being handed out.
9. The answer is 9. 9 yellow cards. There has to be some statistical. Nicholas Murray has to know what the record for yellow cards in that game is, right? I don't think we're there yet.
If not, you just made his night a little bit longer.
Maybe I need to dig into the media guide. Sorto. Hold in by Winder. Winder just working through the 3 aqua shirts around him. New kits in Miami, by the way. They've really experienced the Miami FC cause now.
I love their jerseys every year. This game's sort of been put on cruise control, but sped up the design process, right? Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay, Kendall, Miami Springs, University Park, Tamiami, Opelika.
I'm confident some of those aren't actual places.
Oh, no, they are.
Okay.
I've been there.
I bet you have. They've got names of the neighborhoods in Miami embroidered into the shirt.
I was just going to say, they're not screen printed either.
No.
They're deeply embedded.
Uh-oh, trouble brewing. Murphy, well handled by Morton. And you know, I love the fact that they said it's not the neighborhoods that gain national acclaim that you've heard of if you aren't from Miami. It's not to say those aren't included, but there is an element of Miami's trying to say all the neighborhoods in Miami.
It's a hotbed of talent, I'll tell you that much. Spending the final portions of my youth career in the South Florida area, tons of clubs. I mean, you take a look at what FC Dallas was built on, right? People are going to turn their head on that a little bit and wonder why the reference point comes there. But what FC Dallas was built on came from basically the Miami area, and I'm referencing specifically management.
Musha Galosa
full speed ahead. The cutback, laid it over. Referee waves this on. No foul. Would have been a penalty. Was in the area. Miami's starting to really press for one here. Louisville's hoping to catch them gambling. Craig. So run all the way out. Hey, Baptist Health Louisville provides nationally recognized orthopedic care locally. Learn more about their high-performing hospital ranking in knee replacement from U.S. News and World Report at baptisthealth.com/ortho. Well, here's a change. Crowd roars. 18-year-old Carlos Mogul set to come into the game, his second appearance in the league. And in speaking with Danny Cruz, get the feeling could see him on Wednesday against Red Bull 2 as well. Start to get him a little more time. Jorge Gonzalez comes off. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond.
Get used to it, Lou City fans, because everybody talked about Jonathan Gomez, rightfully so. Carlos Mogul's right behind him. This organization littered with young talent right now, but he is going to be the next man up. That box-to-box type midfielder, tons of confidence, that's been involved in plenty of MLS preseason friendlies. Promise you that. Not a plenty of contact here. Good cutback across, barely there, and on the follow back through, foot's in front. I don't see it.
Got some breaking news. Tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match, Brian Ownby. Ownby coming up with a goal in the 74th minute of play. And Louisville adding that insurance after Del Piccolo tallied in the 36th. Ownby on the ball now. 11 assists last year. 11. Ownby. Crossing. Mushagalusa. Velvety touch. Ball pings off of Paco Craig. Good step back to his feet. And now Velo wins a free kick.
Anything surprise you, Mike, about tonight?
I don't want to say I'm surprised by Miami because you're on the road. Second game under a new manager. Palacios rolls this through. You're facing a Louisville team that at home, typically a machine. Harris dealing with Paco Craig. In for a penny, in for a pound. Those two getting after it. I mean, Louisville has dropped 9 results out of what? 42 games here. Not sure we know what Miami is until they get fully healthy. That could be a full month till we see everybody back in, and maybe even then, not fully.
As much as you wanted to look at this game early on, the talent, what the aspirations are for both of these squads, given everything that you just took in, there was never going to be anything that you walked away going, okay, I know what they are.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not a knock on Louisville. It's certainly not a knock on the Miami FC. It's just the way it was. This team, the visitors, what they set out to be, this isn't the best representation of that. Louisville, on the other hand, from start to finish, outside, compiled all together, outside of about 5 to 7 minutes, have been in control.
Yeah. We're approaching stoppage time. If Miami gets one here, all bets are off. Time winding down. Williams skies that up, bouncing all the way through. Murphy giving chase. Morton makes no mistake. Stoppage time is presented by the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Referees adding 4 minutes to this second half after just 1 minute in the first. Sorto. There's Morton. He's trying to work on a second clean sheet in as many games as the Louisville top option in goal. Not that he was a stranger to picking up clean sheets in Rochester and Pittsburgh. Actually sort of ships in the night with Anthony Pulis in St. Louis. He's there in 2020 under Steve Tritchu. Watch out, Ownby, Mushagalusa. Can he get that elusive goal? Mushagalusa cuts, goes down. Referee says play on. Taken back by Dia. Dia serves Craig. Got one more change available to them. Could do a double sub, but one window here. They may make that change now. All right, Dev. Penalty, no penalty.
When I saw it live, I didn't think it was. And even now, I don't see it. There's not enough. And even more so, Mike, he actually looks for the contact on Paco Craig. The simulation begins. The body starts to lean. And then as the foot comes out, remember, it can also be intent. You don't have to just make contact. But because the lean already starts to begin that way, I still say no.
Serrano in, Brian Ownby off. The sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. 93-minute shift for Brian Ownby tonight. He's got the goal and can celebrate appropriately, and the subs get to sit from here, as that's the end of the line. It appears revenge is not in the offing tonight for Miami after falling in the Eastern Conference playoffs at Louisville last year. Bombed toward the corner. For Miami, they get home for 3. They'll host Loudoun next Saturday. For Louisville, they'll go away Wednesday to Red Bulls 2, and then host Indy next Saturday in the Louisville-Indianapolis Proximity Association football contest. Driven away by Morton. And that is full time. 2-0 win, Louisville 2 wins to start the year at home. And a second consecutive clean sheet. A clean game calls for a healthy, clean smile. That a Mortensen family dental clean sheet. And Morton himself can smile too. Lights flicker here at Lynn Family Stadium. It is another night to celebrate. 6 points to start the year. And for Miami, first taste of defeat under their new manager, Anthony Pulis, who came here seeking a measuring stick. And they've got a better idea now of what's required to compete at the top of the USL Championship. Brian Ownby, tonight's move of the game presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Whoop. That was the second. We'll wrap it up when we return to Lynn Family Stadium in Kentucky.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region. It's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Did you know Toyota actually spends $1 million every hour of every day on R&D?
It's all part of an even larger $30 billion investment to design and build vehicles in the USA.
Made in America means something to Toyota, like 176,000 jobs and over 30 million Toyotas built right here in the USA.
And for over 20 years, Toyota's electrified vehicles have been leading the way towards a better tomorrow.
The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota.
Let's go places.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Celebration continues. Brian Ownby, tremendous game tonight, picks up his first goal of the season, and Louisville rolls 2-0. Tonight's final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office. Louisville 2, Miami 0. As we welcome you into the postgame presented by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Mike and Devin back with you to wrap this one up. Plenty to talk about, so let's get after it. As Kyle Morton grabs his second consecutive shutout, Louisville held probably 80, 85 minutes of this game in the palm of their hand.
They were great. I wouldn't say that they were awesome, but they were great because they played the game on their own terms, Mike. They said, this is where we're going to attack. They changed the press a couple of times. They changed personnel, but at no point in time did you or I ever talk about the fact that they'd let off the gas. Right, defensively, extremely sound. Paolo Del Piccolo nets in the 36th minute, one-on-one. Gonzalez, you said it was a joint effort, but still need the individuals to step up when can. And of course, their captain does so in the first half to get the 1-0 lead.
36th minute of play, his first of the season. Skip ahead to the 40th minute, and Brian Ownby, a taste of what was to come. Nose for goal, but simple enough save from Jake McGuire. Skip to the second half of play. And Brian Ownby was a real pest down that right-hand side, especially in the second half. Bone crossing. Jorge Gonzalez winds this up.
If not for the goalkeeper, this is 2-0. Great job by McGuire getting down low here. Not an easy save. In traffic, away from the body. Everything was about rotation from the boys in purple tonight. Thought it was a great save. Denied by the woodwork. But guess who's on the back post, Mike? Things brewing for Brian Ownby. Good touch here. Unfortunately, the post gets in the way.
And in the 68th minute, it continued. Musha Galusa chips this off the back heel of Paco Craig. 69th minute. Louisville flying this up. Ownby again. It felt like it just wasn't in the cards tonight for Brian Ownby. Finally, in the 74th, he did it himself.
Onslaught of chances just kept coming, and he was on the recipient of some pretty good balls. Couldn't finish it off on his own, but then, of course, he did. Great run. The one-on-one, the cutback, did everything right. Speedy Williams tries to get him back in here. Pretty easy save at the tail end of it for Kyle Morton. And Lou City, you know, you sort of wondered, Mike, if some of those skeletons from 2021 were coming back. More chances past 5-7 minutes coming for the opposition. But in back-to-back games, they've kept a clean sheet. Danny Cruz will be extremely happy about that.
Certainly so. Here's a look at tonight's River City flooring stats. Dev, chance for your final thoughts.
Great start to the season. I look at the fact that it's very much like a well-oiled machine so far. I look at similarities to teams of seasons past. It's actually only the second time in organization history that they've won 2 games to start this season. The last time, 2018. They won 4 in a row. They won 5 of the first 6, 19 on the season. But as everybody knows, the most important number, they put a second star above the crest. Great start for Lou City in 2022.
All right, so Louisville thrills the home crowd. They'll go on the road to take on New York Red Bulls 2 on Wednesday and then get back home. It'll be a great atmosphere for the game against Indy 11 on Saturday. Miami gets a 3-game homestand to lick some wounds. For our entire team here, led by producer Mackenzie Pierce, director Red Osejo, Devin Kerr, Mike Watts saying so long from Louisville.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.